Poetry uses different kinds of language to affect things like mood and tone, make comparisons, exaggerate, and personify. In this program, we'll learn about 4 more poetry tools and define the types of poetry. Hi, I'm Aaron Laughlin. Before we define the types of poetry, we'll be looking at imagery, comparisons, hyperbole, understatement, and personification. The first of these tools, imagery, is the creation of purposely powerful pictures to create a mood or tone. For instance, words like these by John Gould Fletcher are somber. With heavy, doleful clamor, hour on hour, and day on day, the muddy groundswell lifts and breaks and falls and slides away. But these words by Shel Silverstein are whimsical. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the yams and spice the hams, and though her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. Through imagery, the 2 poets affect your mood as you read or recite their poems.
Lullaby. Because you are far away, my son, and I am an old woman alone, I listen in my quiet hours to raindrops flicking lotus petals. In this way, though you are gone, the patter of your tiny feet fills my empty home.
Comparisons are very common in poetry. For example, my love is like a red, red rose by the Scots poet Robert Burns. In that opening line, Burns used a simile, a direct comparison using like or as. Poets can also compare things or people by using a metaphor, which is an applied comparison. For instance, that professor is a reference book, meaning he or she really spouts out a lot of information during class. The other way poets make comparisons is through symbols, like don't judge a book by its cover. A symbol means what it actually says, but it means something else as well. In her song, The Rose, Amanda McBroom uses comparison to define love. Some say love, it's a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it's a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Comparison and poetry are used to describe things or people, so you should look for adjectives to identify comparisons.
Ode to my body.
Bless the ear.
A gateway for laughter.
Bless the eyebrow.
Bushy with wisdom.
Bless the foot.
Which gives equilibrium to an unstable world.
Bless the wrist.
Articulate as a spider.
Bless the heart.
How it beats even when broken.
Bless the mouth.
And its ocean of words.
Bless the chest.
The loudest drum of all.
Bless the belly button.
Which is the scar of love.
I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse. That's one of the most common examples of hyperbole, exaggeration. The opposite of hyperbole is understatement, which is the art of saying less than is emotionally appropriate to draw attention to the statement. I would walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more, just to be that man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. Or I'd catch a grenade for you, throw my hand on a blade for you, I'd jump in front of a train for you. These are 2 great examples of hyperbole from rock music. One of history's most famous examples of understatement comes from the U.S. manned spaceflight program when Jim Lovell aboard Apollo 13 radioed, "Houston, we have a problem," which was used in the movie. What Lovell actually said is, "Houston, we've had a problem." So the movie version is more understated than Lovell's actual radio transmission.
My soul. My soul is a drop of water, bending light into a rainbow. My soul is a flower, a closed box, waiting for someone to find its secrets. My soul is an opera, singing notes no one has ever dreamed before. My soul was pierced to the neck with an arrow, a trach tube, scarlet blood dripping down. My soul is a first aid kit, hiding my scars, a missing link, a treasure.
The final poetic tool we'll look at is personification. That's when you suggest that an inanimate object has human-like qualities. Pasta twirling and spinning, peas do vertical jumps, mashed potatoes swimming, meet doing bench press and pumps. Wow! That poem, The Gastronomic Gym by Sharon Hendricks, made me hungry. But it's a great example of personification. A more somber use of personification is in Emily Dickinson's Because I Could Not Stop for Death. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves in immortality. In that, she's ironically assigned human qualities to death, making death come alive.
Blooming thoughts. In the morning, carrots scream like alarm clocks. Marigolds spin their tops in the sun. Their seeds dance on my fingers like fish bones. Bean vines sway like hammocks, while dinosaur kale roars in the wind. Red hot peppers roll with spicy tongues, and zinnia umbrellas line up like lightning. Bean seeds, soft and slippery, ride down the river in purple canoes. Fresh broccoli makes a dark forest for dreams, and peaceful buds burst open. My garden is a healthy place to be, where the leaves are put together like the pages of poetry. And I am blooming too.
There's a lot of poetry vocabulary and definitions, things like alliteration, where you repeat consonant sounds like winter wind, and assonance, where you repeat middle vowels like rain and plain, that you'll still need to learn and you'll cover in class. When you put all of these tools together, you have poetry, writing usually with the rhythm that repeats. The production of a poem, writing chosen and arranged to create certain emotional responses through meaning, sound, and rhythm. There are many types of poems, and you'll soon learn how to identify them and write some of your own. There are acrostics, a poem or other form of writing in which the first letter, syllable, or word of each line, paragraph, or other recurring feature in the text spells out a word or a message. Biopoems, or biosimile, a simple form of poetry that follows a specific pattern. The words you choose should describe you as a person. Diamante, or a diamond poem, 7 lines in the shape of a diamond. Lament poems that bemoan an event that has occurred. Limericks, 5-line poems written with 1 couplet and 1 triplet, usually humorous. Haiku, a verse form of Japanese origin. Quinzaine poem where the first line has 7 syllables, the second 5 syllables forming the beginning of a question, and the third with 3 syllables with the end of the question. And septets, poems consisting of 7 lines. Poetry, through figurative language, talks about many things that can't be talked about, things you can't always explain out loud. It's powerful, but not necessarily precise language that's open to interpretation. It's been with us since ancient times, and we carry it with us on our iPods and other devices, and listen to it through our earbuds. Enjoy the poetry that you read, hear, and write. I'm Aaron Laughlin.
Down,